Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the show. This is Reservations, and I'm Rain Whalen.
And I'm Gene Parmesan.
I hope the mic picked Haley up for that.
I know, I was
That.
if you heard her, then
Hey, you know what? Leave a comment if you heard Haley.
yeah.
They
comment,
won't,
you jags.
They won't. So it's so fucking good.
Yeah.
Damn, is that the storm?
Yeah, so we got storms rolling in. If I lose power, I lose power. If he dies, he dies. You know what I mean? So we'll see.
Okay, Ivan Drago.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of something to update you on that I've seen at the top of the show.
Oh, I do.
Oh, yeah. Fucking go ahead.
Haley and I saw Monkey Man.
God damn it.
It's so good.
Dude.
Dev Patel, man. Chef's kiss. So,
well, yeah, he's the baby boy, man.
He's very, very good. And his directorial debut, awesome. So good.
And what a way to knock it out of the park by aligning himself with Jordan Peele. Like,
yeah,
having this be under the Monkey Paw production company is
originally for Netflix. Netflix
really
saw the finished product, said no. But they bought it. So Netflix had bought it, and so they said they didn't like it, and so they weren't going to release it at all. Dev Patel told Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele saw it, loved it, bought it from Netflix for like $10 million, and then he released it because that's so ridiculous. It's so good too. It's like Netflix puts out so much trash, and they didn't like this. That's crazy.
Well, and here's the thing, man. Fuck Netflix right now, dude. And their fucking stupid ass password not sharing. Like,
yeah.
Like, Ashley doesn't care.
We're done with Is It Cake right now, so I'm mad at Netflix now too. It was cool up until yesterday when we finished.
Well, like, Ashley thinks we can survive without Netflix. She's like, we just use it to watch Stranger Things. I'm like, yeah, but there's so many good specials on there too, like comedy specials. Like, where am I going to watch Baby J again? You know, and Mulaney's new special that he's doing with Netflix. It's just a weekly live thing.
Yeah, I saw that.
Like no, I got to watch that. So, like, Netflix, if you're watching or listening, like, fucking quit it with this stupid. Like, just let people share their passwords. Like, fucking.
Yeah. Who cares?
You're already $1 billion in debt. Like, who fucking cares?
Just keep it going, man. See how far we can go.
Exactly. And also, like, how can you pass up on Dev Patel? Like, after what he did with fucking Lowry in this movie?
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. And for those of you listening, I was pointing at my copy of The Green Knight.
Yeah, dude. Green Knight's amazing. He's amazing in everything, obviously, but in the Newsroom, especially. His line delivery for it. It's so hard to do a Sorkin show or a Sorkin movie. And he nailed it. So listen, guys, like, Patel, the best. All right.
Also, I know you hate this, but he was in one of Wes Anderson's short films that Wes put out for Netflix. Because Ashley and I watched a Lad Bible of Snack Wars with him and Jordan Peele.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing they started off with was a cocktail. It was an old fashioned. And Dev goes, yeah, Wes makes a really cute old fashioned. And Jordan's like, really? And he's like, yeah, man, like, he's got these like weird looking glasses. He's like, but they're really good too.
Of course he does. The dumbest, man. It's
because Jeremy hates Wes Anderson.
He's a quirky guy,
But hey, he won an Oscar for The Wonderful World of Henry Sugar, best short film at the Oscars. So
yeah,
and that was his first Oscar, I think, as a director. So, which is deeply disappointing, but you know what? That's all right. Anyways, so Jeremy, I have a simple question for you, buddy. Do you remember The Matrix?
Yep.
do you remember that movie that we talked about 3 fucking weeks ago? Like, do you remember it?
I do remember it.
Yeah, because this movie, for sure, doesn't want you to fucking forget it.
Okay.
Well, welcome back, everyone. I told Jeremy I was going to introduce our movie with that, so welcome to our series and season finale. In case you have not been following along with us for the last 3 weeks, we have been doing a deep dive into the Matrix saga, and today we're finally ending it all with the Matrix Resurrections, the hope to God final installment of this just this once great franchise. Just yeah.
I have a lot of questions for you.
Okay.
Because I was watching this one. I was watching Resurrections. To be fair, I was drinking a little. Who cares? I kind of don't remember the last 15 minutes. It's whatever.
It's okay. It's okay.
Because, okay. So, I was very confused through most of it. And okay. So Neo and Trinity.
Mm-hmm.
Neo has his eyes. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Neo has his eyes. Trinity is alive. And a mom, I guess.
But not really.
The Morpheus thing was confusing. The Mr. Smith thing was confusing. And Neil Patrick Harris was confusing.
Okay.
Because because from my understanding, when we ended the third one, was Neo went to computer heaven.
Yeah.
Neo went to computer heaven. Trinity's dead. Oh, but thank God we had Niobe in this one. Oh, thank our lucky stars. Which also brought up a question that I had, which was, has she been aging 5 times faster than everyone else? Because she looks terrible. And she, okay. It's kind of like Neo had been cryogenically frozen, right? And then Niobe was just living life not cryogenically frozen, and then they woke him up in that pod. But here's the other question I had, which was, how did he get back in the pod? And because Neo lost his eyes in the real world, right? Yes. Full stop. That's what happened, right? Is this movie suggesting that none of that happened and it was all within the Matrix and he's always been in the pod still?
No.
Okay. Then I am full confused.
There is a very obvious answer. So.
Okay. Well, I mean, let's not. Okay. It's not that obvious. All right.
So before I put your mind at ease, so the Matrix Resurrections, in context of this mythology of these movies, this takes place 60 years after the events of Revolutions. But as Jeremy just eloquently said, Neo is back in the Matrix. So is Trinity. And in this version of the Matrix, they have altered Neo's history a little bit by making the events of the last 3 movies a essentially video game,
right,
that he developed in this version of the Matrix. So it's really meta,
which I have thoughts
on, and we'll get to in a second.
All that. Don't you worry about that.
He is then recruited by this new essentially, I guess, the new crew from the first Matrix movie, led by Bugs, played by the always amazing Jessica Henwick, who's awesome. I felt like they didn't really utilize her that well in this movie, but that's neither here nor there.
She's barely.
I know, and she's supposed to be like our new Morpheus, essentially, in a way. Anyway, they find Neo, they get him out, and then the movie turns into essentially a redux of the first movie, which is now we gotta get Trinity out. We gotta save Trinity. All while trying to thwart a reincarnated version of Smith, played by Jonathan Groff, who I think did a great job, honestly.
Sure.
Of most of the redubs in this movie, I would say Jonathan Groff had the most fun. And combating the new creator of the Matrix, the Analyst, played by Neil Patrick Harris, who I actually really liked. I did.
Okay.
I think Neil made a good villain. And that's the Matrix Resurrections.
Sure.
Just like the third movie, nothing is really resolved. Nothing really happens. Just like the second movie, Lana sets a lot of things up that could end really well, and then just fumbles it at the end. So, Jeremy, let me start answering your questions.
Okay.
So, your first question of, was all this just in the Matrix to begin with? No. Neo did technically die at the end of Revolutions, so did Trinity. But the Analyst, as he explains in that fucking stupid bullet time sequence, that he was there when Neo died and saw an opportunity. That because Neo was a different anomaly than the previous 5 before him. So the Analyst wanted to essentially reboot the Matrix with Neo. So they literally rebuilt his body. So they fixed his eyes. They, fixed virtually everything about him. But because they couldn't find what they said the source code within him, they needed Trinity. So they had to rebuild Trinity's body. So their bodies were literally rebuilt.
Source
and that's
code
why they've
a better movie to talk about.
And then that explains why they haven't aged 60 years, because their bodies were literally rebuilt.
Wow, I missed that totally. That was probably beer number 2.
Okay, and then what was the other question you had?
Trying to think. I did fire a lot at you.
The Morpheus stuff. The Morpheus
Yahya Abdul-Mateen, which obviously I'm a huge fan of him. I think he's amazing. But I was like, what, why? And why him? Why not? Why not Lawrence Fishburne? And why have the statue of Lawrence? Because that means that Morpheus does still exist in this world, right?
Okay, yeah. So apparently Lawrence was never asked. I read some stuff that he was like, you're gonna have to ask Lana about that. I don't know why.
His lucky star.
So they killed off Morpheus. That's why they have the statue. I guess he died probably of old age,
of a horrible dying accident.
The horrible dying accident. Yahya is supposed to be a digital version of Morpheus.
Okay.
That Neo created for a modal, which is a simulation to evolve programs. But he combined elements of Agent Smith and Morpheus to create this version.
He's half and half.
Yeah, now he's more Morpheus than he is Agent Smith, but there is these kind of like competing ideas within him.
Okay.
It still doesn't explain a lot, but I'm like, I guess I can get behind this. Now, the meta stuff. Because like I said, I have a lot of thoughts on this.
That was driving me crazy.
Because look, just like with Reloaded, Lana set up a lot of really good stuff with this movie, and then just fumbles it. And the biggest fumble is this fucking meta thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I applaud the idea that the analyst was like, okay, I'm going to alter Neo's history while he's in with the Matrix. That way I can keep him more controlled.
Mm-hmm.
But to take the fucking they mainly did the first movie, but it's essentially to take, no, he says a trilogy. Never mind. Jonathan Groff says a trilogy. To take the first three games, or first three movies, and recontextualize them as a video game within the Matrix universe is. I looked at Ashley. I said, because Ashley was kind of half paying attention, and I looked at her. I said, "You know what that's called?" And she was like, "What?" And I said, "Lazy fucking writing." That's what that's called.
I mean, more than anything, it was confusing. And what I didn't, when Neil Patrick Harris started talking about bullet time, I was like, wait, now we're calling it what it's called, like in like movie making terms, like in movie making jargon. Like, no, no, we can't do that. You know?
Yeah, because again, it's lazy writing. Because
they don't call it bullet time in the Matrix. Like, and then the thing that I liked that in the beginning was his reflection was different, like from him, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I wonder if that'll go anywhere.
Well, actually, it does, because it answers a question that you had at the beginning of the series,
mm-hmm.
which is, why do they choose to look like that? If they're within a simulation and they're they're getting plugged back into the Matrix,
mm-hmm.
why are they choosing to look like that? And Lana kind of answers it with this one, which is their DSI, their digital something image.
Mm-hmm.
But for Neo, they alter it so it's harder to find him.
Right. That I understood. Because Bugs was talking about, like, seeing him, jump off that building or whatever, and it didn't look like him, of course. I was like, okay, I mean, that's fine. And Trinity's was different too. Well, that was kind of cool. But that's like, that's like barely anything,
Yeah.
I don't know. This movie is terrible. If anything, it makes me more mad than the third one did.
Really? I was just about to say, like, okay, well, then which one do you not like more now?
This one, because at least with the third one, like, it's bad and it's boring and it takes me to places I don't want to go. But at least I knew all that stuff since the beginning. Like, I knew about Zion, I knew about all that. There's a through line between the first and the third. This is like, I'm going to use a term that I may use incorrectly. Okay. But is this retconning? For those who don't know, retconning is when you could probably explain it better, but you change information in the future to explain past things or mistakes, right? And then you use the future, you use the present to explain away the things in the past, or to essentially rewrite that stuff to make more sense for this stuff. So there's a connection that might not make sense in this case, or might not have any validity, but I felt like maybe.
It's not a retcon necessarily. Lana, okay. The thing I liked about this movie, because there are parts of this I like. That's why I said I think this one's better than 3. um, is that Lana really kind of doubled down on this whole you can never know your reality.
Mm-hmm.
And I really liked that, like having Neo go see a therapist, and you know using words like trigger, and I was like, that's really smart. I mean, granted, it makes mental health look like a joke, but it that's really smart. But just it's the meta stuff I can't get behind.
Yeah.
And I've had arguments. I'm talking arguments, dude, with my mom about this movie. She loves this movie.
What?
And I'm like, you're insane. And she's like, well, it's the nostalgia factor. I'm like, what nostalgia? Yeah, do you think the world has just forgotten that the Wachowskis made The Matrix? Hence why I opened with, do you remember The Matrix? Because this is the third time I've watched this movie. The first time I saw it, so the first time I saw it, I hated it. Hated it. Glad
Sure.
I watched it for free on Max.
Yeah.
And then I watched a video kind of breaking down the first Matrix movie, and I was like, well, maybe I should go back and rewatch that. So, but you can't, unfortunately, just watch that. I was like, well, I have to watch the other four. So I rewatched Resurrections for a second time, and I was like, okay, there's things about this movie that I enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Still not good, but I enjoy. Now the third time, I finally figured it out. I'm like, it's because Lana is doing what they did with Speed Racer, which is jamming it down your throat of, do you remember that we made The Matrix? Like, do you remember that? And you like, yes, the first Matrix movie was 99. This is 2021. A new audience probably won't remember anything. So that's why we get all the fucking archival footage with Hugo Weaving and from all the other three movies.
Yeah.
But I feel like people who have seen the other three already fucking know.
Well, if I wouldn't mind the archival footage of going back, for flashbacks and going to the other three movies. Really, they just did the first two, I think. I don't even think they went back to the third one.
No, they did a few from
Okay.
three. Just a few.
And that would have been fine. I wouldn't have minded that. It's just making it a part, making
Of this.
Yeah, making it diegetic with the rest of it. Like with making those movies a part of the movies that exist, that they are aware of, that they reference, right? Like in the very beginning when Yaya is Agent Smith and they're, looking for Trinity or whatever. And they're recreating the first movie, right?
Yeah.
Like that's weird. That's weird that they're doing that. Because like they're not doing it to reenact history. They're doing it to reenact a product, something that they've played or that they've seen, right? Just like we have. And I'm like, that's weird, man. And you could argue that yes, making the meta stuff enhances the idea of the Matrix because it does play into that, what is your reality? Because if this was part of, just part of the simulation and part of, like an idea that spun from our main character Neo, and that it, maybe didn't happen or not. I don't know. I'm still, honestly, jury's still out on that.
But here's the thing with that. Because then later on, Neo fucking says to Bugs, they took what happened in my life and they made it into a video game. And then Bugs says,
I missed that.
And Bugs says, yes, they made your sacrifice trivial. And so it's like, Lana can't even get behind the fact that like this new version of the Matrix exists in this version. So like, she can't even decide. And
well, and if they because you could even argue, you can go further and say like if they rebooted the Matrix, which they do at the end of the third one, The Matrix is rebooted, and they start over, right? They start over from scratch, essentially. You know, that could have been something to play on even with this one. You know, they could all of this without the meta stuff. Let's give Neo a different job. Let's put him back in that, you know, Michael Anderson role, right?
Thomas Anderson.
Whatever. let's put him back in that Thomas Anderson role. Let's have him do a different job. Let's have him live life unaware that he is in this rebooted Matrix, right? We can just start over that way. You can even do what The Force Awakens did, and just tell the story again, just with different people this time, right? Just do that. Well, you know, that was very successful, and that worked.
Well, and it's like they were trying to. Like, Lana was trying to just essentially take what she and Lily did with the first Matrix movie and just kind of reframe it and recontextualize it. But it just, like, okay. Like, another thing that I can't get behind is the concept of the analyst, who took over from the architect. Because, you know, because I guess you missed it, and Neil's whole monologue, which, again, I think Neil is a really good villain. Yeah. I think Neil was a perfect choice for the villain. But it kind of undermines the point at the end of the Revolutions, which is, you know, the architect tells the Oracle, for those who want to be free, they will be freed. And, you know, but then the analyst is like, no, the sheeple are happier than pigs in shit in my world. Like, essentially saying that, like, yeah, no, fuck that guy. No one's leaving the Matrix now.
How? I have another question.
Okay.
Why did that little girl become Priyanka Chopra? How does that happen? How does she grow up? Isn't she a computer
program? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's I mean, I have no answer.
I get we're playing with the passage of time, whatever. There's no way we can get that little girl again. I understand, right? I'm not an idiot. But
yeah, I don't know, man.
They're not replacing her with like they did with the Oracle. They're not making her a different little girl. They had her grow up. Not even, by the way, not even 60 years. We're talking less than that. Priyanka Chopra's not that old. Priyanka Chopra's like 30 years old. All right.
Well, or maybe it took 60 years for her to grow up into Priyanka.
Oh, you were thinking it's Elvish rules. All right, I can get behind Elvish rules, but I don't
know.
Maybe.
Also, can I say the team that Neo works with at Deus Machina, which also, hang on, with all the fucking with the not so subtle fucking references. So Neo works for a fucking gaming company called Deus Machina, which of course isn't the full thing. It's Deus Ex Machina, which is God of the Machine. But like, really? And then, you know, when he goes to the noodle house, Priyanka's reading Alice Through the Looking Glass with Jefferson Airplane's Go Ask Alice playing. Like,
yeah,
like Lana, like, again, she's just beating us over the head with. Anyway, the developer team that Neo works with to make this new Matrix game is fucking cringe.
Oh, like, I hated that guy. What was his name? Hold on, I got right.
Jude.
Yes.
Yeah,
I hated Jude, and maybe we're supposed to. Fair, you did it. You nailed it, because I could not stand this guy, and it wasn't so much like it. I disliked his character so much that I was like, there's no point of me hating him. Like, I'm not supposed to hate him, am I? Or like hating him doesn't enhance the movie. Like, I just don't like him.
Yeah.
Right? It makes it no fun to watch.
How did you feel about Christina Ricci's one scene in the movie?
Oh man, what a waste of money that the studio paid to have Christina Ricci there.
Dude, sidebar, when I heard that she was going to be in the movie, I thought like it was going to be like this really major role or something.
Yeah.
And so the first time I watched the movie, I was like, all right, because I love Christina Ricci. And I'm like, all right, where's she at? Where's she at? I was like, oh, there she is. Oh, and she's gone. Oh, we never fucking see her again.
So,
cool.
It was very weird.
Yeah.
It was like a cameo.
I'm pretty
she was on set just a day.
I'm pretty sure she did it as a favor to Lana. Because she was also in Speed Racer. She was
Trixie. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Go watch Speed Racer.
Okay.
After this, I think now you deserve to watch Speed Racer.
No, it's also so bad. Okay.
Just watch it for Emile Hirsch, man. That's the only reason why you watch it.
I do like Emile Hirsch.
You watch it for Emile Hirsch, and then you purge it from your brain. Okay. Something else. Hey, everyone, I'm sorry. Look, I was really hoping we wouldn't spend another episode complaining, but I mean, there's these last two movies are so bad, and there's like another thing I can't get behind in this movie is what they really did with Neo. Like he's a shell of the badass that we literally saw in the last movie.
Yeah.
And like I get it. Maybe the analyst figured out some way to subdue his power so he's not as powerful as he once was. Or maybe Neo's just older, and I don't know. But it's
no, I completely understand, because I mean, we'll get to the end later, but yeah, he had very little to do. This time it was mostly the gang, the new gang with Yaya and with Bugs, and yeah, they were doing most of the work. Neo's not doing much. Neo just seemed like he was confused the whole time, which fair, me too. Neo doesn't seem to like, which again, you're right, where there's a compelling story here, which is he's now not sure if it's the past that was real, the present's real, is me making that game real, me waking up at the pod, is that real? Cool. I get all that, right? He's confused. But it's like the whole movie he's going to be kind of confused, and the whole movie he's going to have nothing to do.
And I'm like 90% certain he filmed this and Bill and Ted Face the Music around the same time, because there was a little bit of Ted coming out in this version of Neo.
He got confused.
Yeah. Like I laugh. Like I do think it's a really funny scene, and I'm sure it was meant to be funny. But when Yaya's offering him the red pill, and he's like, "No, like I don't know if this is meant to be funny. But this is pretty funny."
Like he accidentally Bill and Tedded when he should have been Matrixing. There might be a scene in Bill and Ted where he accidentally Neo'd. And
unfortunately, I saw Bill and Ted Face the Music backwards and forwards. That movie's awesome.
Oh, okay. So
I don't see Neo come out at all.
Okay, so there's no Neo. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, man, it just, and like I get it. A part of Lana's story was like, well, I need to introduce these new characters. So, Neo can't come in and be like OP. He's got to be, he's got to be Luke Skywalker to use it. Like you used a Star Wars reference, I'll use a Star Wars reference.
I didn't mean to. He's got
to be Luke Skywalker in this one. He's got to be a hermit, a shell of his former self. But then why even have him as a character in the movie?
It's very scary that they introduced all these new people, because that leaves room for more movies, and that's scary. Because I don't want any more of these. Um,
Well, I don't think there will be. I because I don't know if you caught it, the little line that Jonathan Groff says about them making a fourth Matrix game because their parent company Warner Brothers is making them
oh,
do it.
I did catch that, and I was like, I
Uh,
rolled my eyes because I'm like, come on, more
yeah, yeah, Lana, yeah,
like
that
more
because
meta
apparently
stuff.
that was yeah, well, and apparently that was like legit. Like Lana was kind of forced to make the movie.
Right.
Um, but yeah, man, it just I don't why have him in the movie at all. But then I did read that apparently the original idea was we were not going to see Neo and Trinity again. But apparently when Lana and Lily's parents passed away, she that's when she decided to bring back Neo and Trinity.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I don't know if you should have,
I
but
would have way less complaints if they were in there. I feel like if they weren't directly connected to the other three with Neo and Trinity,
mm-hmm.
we have some grace here, right? Because we're not
Yeah,
having to remold these characters to fit the story. We could just have new people and new story, right? Like that's fine.
yeah,
I I understand computers enough to know that things get updated and changed. So, like if the rules were different in this matrix, it's fine. That's what computers do, right?
yeah,
Um, but it's when you bring in these characters that I'm not even gonna say I know because I don't, but these characters that we're familiar with and that we sort of understand and have them be completely different or do different things or again be reshaped to fit the story is bogus because like again this movie like I now that we're talking about it out loud she may have made it bad on purpose, okay,
maybe,
um
maybe.
which
I mean,
yeah, kudos, it's not like
I mean,
she doesn't know how to make a
she
bad movie. I've seen the third one, so
well, and I mean, she filmed all the action sequences herself, when the other three had a second unit just for the action sequences.
hmm,
So all the fight scenes in this one, Lana filmed herself, and it's blatantly obvious that a director who isn't used to filming action scenes filmed him.
yeah, I agree.
Um, yeah, maybe she did. Maybe she's like, all right, fine, you're gonna make me make this movie. Okay, you didn't say what kind of movie I needed to make.
Yeah, so there's a strong possibility she made it bad on purpose. Do I really believe that? No, but
No, no,
I do
neither
like
do
this
I.
idea of this alternate universe where Neo and Trinity aren't in this movie because I like that more.
Yeah, I think. Well, especially Neo, man. Since Neo does nothing really in this movie, we didn't really need him. And like, I want to talk like, and see, but the thing is, like, with like Smith, like having this sort of like resurrected, rebuilt version of Smith played by Jonathan Groff instead of Hugo Weaving
Mhm.
is really interesting. And like, I mean, again, like I said at the top, Jonathan Groff is clearly having a lot of fun playing this sort of unhinged, kind of playing off of what Hugo has done, but adding his own kind of thing to it, which I liked. I did really like Jonathan, but just like this doesn't make any sense though. Why would Smith need to look different? Especially if Neo doesn't remember. Or
That's a
or
good point.
or doesn't believe his own reality. So like, you know,
Yeah,
um but then again, Hugo wasn't even asked either and is very upset by it. Um which is kind of disappointing, but it's neither here nor there.
yeah. Again, I feel like the decision to add Trinity and Neo may have been a last minute decision, and
I
so
agree. I agree.
which would explain why Hugo Weaving and Fishburne weren't asked to be in it because like too
Now,
late.
now here's the thing. because I can feel us barreling towards the end of the movie, because this is where,
which you're gonna have to play back for me because I was drunk at this point. I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
I remember them flying off into the sunset. I remember things being wrapped up. I remember them fighting, punch, kick, fly.
Okay, so essentially, Neo wants to rescue Trinity, but according to Priyanka, Sati, they can unplug Trinity, but it has to be her choice. She has to willingly want to leave the Matrix in order for them to get her out.
I remember that.
Neo tells the analyst, just let me talk to her. If she wants to stay, then you can plug me back in. But if she wants to leave, if she wants me, you're going to let us leave. And then we get Chad Stahelski back as Chad, her husband, which I thought was really funny.
Yeah.
And Trinity finally remembers who she is. Fight, punch. Neo apparently has the Force now. Which, when the fuck did we ever establish this? But okay, okay, listen to me now. This is the part of the movie that I will never get behind. When in the last 3 movies that we've talked about, when did we establish that Trinity is the other half of the anomaly? When the fuck did that happen? Because that, ooh, Sonic, ooh. Oh, it upset me so. It still upsets me because that, when the, like, it fucking was never established. What the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I couldn't agree more.
Like, and like now she has all his power, so they can fly together. Like, what?
I remember being confused about her flying. I remember being like, "What? What's going on?" Then it was over. And I go, "Okay."
Well, and then, since you don't remember, and then apparently she can fucking reset the Matrix. So after she like slits the analyst's throat, she snaps her fingers and he like rebuilds. I'm like, what the fuck?
I vaguely remember that. This is so unprofessional of me to have just like gotten wasted and then not remember and not restarted. I should have restarted it, but I was just like, I didn't want to. I didn't like this movie, and I should have just.
Well, I mean, it's like me with Hereditary. I only watched 45 minutes, and I was like, yeah, and I'm done.
Oh, you've missed so much good stuff. But apparently, I missed some bonkers, crazy ass shit at the end of this one too.
And it makes no sense, okay, the reason why it makes no sense is because this movie has no stakes. Like, let's take it back to the first one.
Okay.
There were stakes in that movie. Now, yes, I understand in context of the lore and the mythology of these movies, there's peace between the humans and the machines. So the machines aren't actively looking to kill humans that go back into the Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they still will if they have to, but they're not like, there's no stakes. And so the fact that now fucking Trinity and Neo are like on God mode, like, no one can stop them. Like, like, Reloaded makes sense to only have one person have that amount of power, have be Neo be the one. Mm-hmm. That made sense because that still had stakes. Like, when we didn't think he could save Trinity, but like, oh. But as I've said throughout this whole series, I still like this one more than I like Revolutions.
Okay, that's fair.
Revolutions is still the fucking worst one, and I will never forgive them.
That's fair. I mean, this one has merits, if anything, just for its performances. Because you're right, Jonathan Groff is great. Yaya, of course, is always amazing. Neil Patrick Harris, awesome. I know Doctor Who fans also got to see him play a villain. Is that correct?
Yes, he was the Celestial Toy Maker. He also knocked it out of the park on that.
Which, of course, right? Oh, that's right. I do remember the Mara that guy came back. The Merovingian.
Oh, right. I was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I
I
remember
told
that. I
you he
remember coming
comes.
back.
I told you he comes back,
Which I was
and
confused by because I was. I mean, obviously, by this point, I was just like, I don't know what the fuck's going on.
well, and see, like,
But the Merovingian comes back, and again, my suspension of disbelief is sort of like, okay, like, I guess these programs can just like age. I mean, that's fine. I guess.
age and grow hair.
Yeah, that's fine. I just didn't really understand its relevance necessarily. I'm like, bring back Monica Bellucci. Like, what are we dealing with this guy for? You know?
I know, man.
Bellucci
Like,
probably said no. I would have.
oh, she was probably too busy. When was Twin Peaks: The Return? 2019, right?
Oh yeah, no, that was a long time ago. They were filming that in 2016.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say she was probably too busy working with Lynch, but
Nope. She just
yeah,
probably didn't want to, or they didn't ask. Either way.
which I mean, as I've been saying, it sounds like a lot of people didn't get asked to come back. But yeah, man,
What a mess. This whole thing is a mess.
But again, this was my goal for this series. We started off so strong, and then we fell just a little bit with Reloaded, and then we fucking fell so far with Revolutions, and then like a tiny like tick on like a spreadsheet or something. It just kind of went, dude,
Yeah.
and then fell back
Beep.
down.
Yeah. Yeah, man, this was a chore to get this this was less fun. Okay, watching this movie and the other one. So both of these movies these past 2 weeks has been less fun than doing dishes. Because with doing dishes, I can set my phone up and I can watch something I want while I do dishes, which is what I do. That's how I do dishes. So like it was a chore. This time just seemed unnecessary. The third one, I was like, they have to finish. I get it. You know, they set up all this stuff. Now they gotta try to knock it all down. Did they know? Who cares? This one was just like, ugh, let it go. You know,
Yeah.
if you're not gonna do it
One more
right,
thing.
don't do it at all.
One more thing,
All right.
and then we can start to wrap up. I think the other thing about this movie that I can't get behind is it's too polished. As where at least the first Matrix was really dingy, you know.
Yeah, there was
Like,
a lot less S&M leather clothes this time. Is that what you mean?
no, like, just the. I mean, what I'm about to say is contradictory because obviously the advancements in cameras, but the digital camera in this was way too. Every frame was way too polished.
Oh, it's too clean. I get that. Like
Yeah.
everything
As
seemed
where
yes, I get what you mean. It does seem a little too you're right. A little too polished, a little too slick, a little too clean. The first Matrix did have that sort of grunge, had that sort of that edge to it that this sort of just smoothed off.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. And it's not really just with the cinematography, although, that has a lot to do with it. It's just like it, because of the way the Matrix is, and because it got rebooted, and because it's not a dystopian place anymore, it doesn't, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
miss
I
it.
know.
You miss it being like Dark City, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, dude, here we are at the end of another season. Oh
The
man.
drag.
Yeah, I mean that wasn't my intention. I really thought, like, after we complained pretty much all of Revolutions, I was like, I feel like with Resurrections we won't complain as much, but there was still more to complain about.
Yeah.
And again, I think what it is because, again, I think the Wachowskis, especially Lana, because Lily did not help with this one, it was all Lana. I think the problem is the Wachowskis had such a hard time trying to recapture what they did with the first Matrix movie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because again, like we talked about 3 weeks ago, the first Matrix film was genre defining. It broke new records. It created new advancements in camera
Mm-hmm.
and special effects. Like, it truly was uh, ahead of its time. I mean, I don't really like using that, but it really was ahead of its time. But here we are, 2021, and Lana can't recreate what she did almost, almost
25
30
years.
years ago. Yeah, 25 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I know.
and that's sad to see. That really is sad to see. Because again, as we've been breaking down these movies, like I said, 2 had a lot going for it. Reloaded had a lot going for it. I feel like if they would have stuck the landing with all of these ideas that they brought up in Reloaded, I think Revolutions would have been better for it. And then maybe Resurrections. But the fact that they just dropped the ball so hard at the end of Reloaded and then even harder in Revolutions, I think Resurrections was going to have no chance of reviving the Matrix.
I think if they had stuck with the philosophies, if they had stuck with the ideas of what is reality and you don't know what your reality is and the ramifications of that and the implications of, waking up and everything you've known your entire life is wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe take a step back from the action just a little bit. Maybe let's put the guns in the holsters and let's, explore this a little bit. I think that would have been a lot better. I think that as a whole, the Matrix sort of as a quadrilogy, as as the whole piece, it kind of just got overwhelmed with style over substance, action over nuance. It got just muddied until it just became a mess, right?
Yeah.
Pretty quick.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Honestly, yeah.
almost immediately.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, they could have really had a sci-fi Truman Show, really, and they didn't. So
yeah, and again, I get it. They probably were listening to what people liked, and people liked the action, and I mean, and obviously people like the action because, I mean, look at Keanu Reeves' career post The Matrix. We got John Wick, but then again,
John Wick's the best.
John Wick is the best. I mean, it's so good, and I think it's because Chad Stahelski, having worked with the Wachowskis on The Matrix 1 and 2, I don't think he worked with them on Revolutions, which is weird because those movies were shot back to back. I think he was able to take what he learned from that and apply it to John Wick. Because then again, stuntmen turning into directors are clearly, they know what the fuck they're doing. I mean, look at David Leitch with Bullet Train and Deadpool 2 and Fall Guy coming up soon, which I am so excited for.
Me too. I can't wait.
Or the Fall Guy, sorry, not the video game Fall Guy, the Fall Guy. But no, I agree, man. I think I think some action would have been fine, but I agree. I feel like if they really stuck to this whole debate of choice and free will and destiny, I think Reloaded would have landed perfectly the way they wanted it to, or the way they thought it did. And then I think Revolutions would have been better for it. I definitely think we would have still spent way too much time in Zion. But having come off of Reloaded, I think a lot of people going into Resurrections would have been like, okay, I'm okay with what's happening here.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think maybe Resurrections would have had a better story to tell.
Yeah.
But we'll never know. We'll
I kind
never
of also
know.
forgot that Neo was like this religious figure, and I guess they did too.
That he's computer Jesus.
Yeah, he's computer Jesus, and like people were like, please pray over these things that I own, or like, you know what I mean? Like, here, take this as a sacrifice, or take this as an offering, or whatever. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, and then Resurrections, it's like, yeah, we actually have guys that are dedicated to studying you. You know,
what?
He's our resident Neoologist, and Neo's like, what? Like, even he was like, this is dumb.
Yeah,
put me back.
This is stupid. Yeah, plug me back in. This is awful.
Yeah, man. So on the whole, what would you give this series, especially considering that these last 3 episodes were all first watches for you?
Yeah. 1 through 4. Out of 5, 2.5, 2 maybe.
Like the entire series,
yeah,
2.
Yeah. They drag it down so much. The other 3 are just they drag it down a lot.
Yeah. I feel like I had you with 2, and then Revolutions just ended it.
2 was fun. 2 was fun-ish.
That's what I said, man. 2 had so much build.
Yeah.
And
I
don't know if like
it really should be a 1.5. We'll take a half a point off just for Jada Pinkett Smith. She's in the last 3. Fuck that.
I know, dude. Well, and they had to put her in her wig, Oh wait, I shouldn't say that.
Oh, well,
because
there you
Will
go.
Smith's gonna kick down my door.
That's fine.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I mean, but again, like I've already said it a couple times, this was the point of this series. Who knows? I mean, maybe I'll pick another series of a. I mean, I don't think anything's gonna top the Before trilogy, dude.
Yeah.
Like you pick those, and those movies progressively got better.
Yeah. Well, once you get to know them, I mean it. The first one's obviously probably the best. I think the second one's my favorite, and then you have that perfect ending, right, to the whole story. And right now, Julie Delpy just needs to shut her mouth and just like relax for a minute. Let's not ruin your legacy, please.
Oh God.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about that later. But
yeah, we'll talk about it.
She's got to shush. Let's not talk so much, Miss Delpy. But yeah, in terms of the movie series that we've talked about on the show, this is definitely the worst.
Yeah, I mean, looking back at some of our other series, we did the Before trilogy, we did the Blood and Ice Cream trilogy,
The Man with No Name. We've done
the Man with No Name trilogy.
The Godfather.
Well, no, that was those weren't like series. We just did a 2-part episode.
Right. And The Godfather was a 2-part episode
because we refused to do the third one.
Right, and then Back to the Future. So I mean, we've done, we've done these film series, not as a series, but we've discussed. In our own ways, and this one's obviously the worst. I mean, it's no question.
Well, maybe now that well, maybe now that Francis Ford Coppola has released the coda of Godfather 3, maybe we'll finally do
Oh yeah,
Godfather 3.
maybe. Pretty cool.
But yeah, everyone. Well, we hoped you enjoyed season 9. Jeremy and I are already prepping season 10.
Yeah.
We will probably take our normal time off, 1 to 2 weeks, and get geared up for that. But yeah, we hoped you've really dug some of the movies we picked, doing an old school season 1 and 2 of the show, just picking random movies. There doesn't have to be really a theme. We're going to continue with that with season 10 because season 10 also does not have a theme. Just going old school, just picking movies that we want to talk about.
Yep.
And it's also really exciting because that's going to be the season that you get to do all the intros on.
Yeah, we're swapping, so no more fun names.
Yeah, it's time for our seasonal swap.
Yep.
Someone asked me, they're like, "Oh, so when it's his turn, do you do the funny names?" I'm like, "No, that's his thing." Like, no, like that's not my job.
I already have our first episode. I already know what it's going to be. That's exciting. Nice. I know for a fact Zach is going to be so excited for our first episode back.
Nice.
But I know you want to tease our bonus, so
yes. Usually we don't tease the bonus episodes; we just release them. But this one was quite a bit of time in the making. We switched movies around.
Yeah.
So for the bonus episode, we're gonna have a very special guest. I won't say who. But they are making their return to the show after being on all the way back in season 1. And we had to go back and forth with the movie. They picked the movie that we are doing, and then I convinced them to do something else. And then they decided to go back to the movie that we're doing. So I guess I'll give a little tease for the episode, but not our guest. Sure. So for the bonus episode, just kind of like what we did with Haley, we are picking a movie. And we're going to be talking about Coraline, which is a long time coming. And to be honest, I'm really excited to talk about it, man.
Yeah, me too. I might send it to you. There's this gal on TikTok that has like a 40-part series on her TikTok page, just about hidden details of Coraline, and she just goes through them. It's amazing. She finds.
I think Ashley's shown me some. I don't know if it's the same person, but I know she's shown me some, and some of them are kind of blatantly obvious. I'm like, yeah, that's the point. But then here's the other thing, and here's why I'm also really excited, because I've read the book, and I would highly recommend, buddy, if you have a chance, read it, because the book is very short, or if you can find an audiobook.
Yeah, Neil Gaiman reads it on Audible, so I might have
really. I may have to ask my mother for her free thing, because I have to hear his voice read me Coraline, because yeah, dude, the book is terrifying.
Yeah.
It is very scary. It's only 3 hours. Wow, that's interesting. The audiobook, everyone, not the movie. That'd be insane if stop motion film was 3 hours long. That'd be sick.
My god, that's too much time.
But yeah, the book is terrifying. And there's a lot that this is why I recommend maybe listening to the audiobook, because there's a lot that got added to the movie, which I think helps out the movie a lot. So
okay, well, I'm very excited. And I mean, I'll just say it, guys. We got a Ouija board, and our guest next week is Joel Schumacher. Guys are very excited. He's excited. We've talked to him. We've had a couple seances and whatever. Like, guys, he is thrilled.
Yeah, he's been like, he's a little upset because we haven't talked about him on the show in a while, and we're like, Joel, Boobala, like, we're trying to respect you, my mans.
Yeah, my guys, like, it's cool, man. But,
But he's like, cool, yeah, but when are you gonna?
Like, he says heaven is nothing but jean jackets and turquoise jewelry, and I'm like, thank God, he's in heaven. I mean, like, that's what he wanted,
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and then asked us when we're going to talk about Batman and Robin, and we quickly broke the connection, and we're like, do you think you noticed?
we high-fived over my love of the number 23 in phone booth, you know what I mean? Like, we get it, Anyway,
all right, everyone.
Next week,
yeah. Well, we hope you, again, have enjoyed Season 9. And we'll see you in the bonus episode.